Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if your mind often feels overwhelmed, maybe a bit anxious, or like it's just constantly scanning the horizon for problems, I want to start out by telling you something absolutely crucial right out of the gate. There is literally nothing wrong with you. You are not broken, and this is certainly not some kind of personal failure. Today, we're going to unpack exactly why that is.
Okay, let's dive right into this with a pretty massive paradigm shift. What if your brain simply wasn't built for happiness? I know, it sounds a bit stark, but the truth is, your brain really has one main job, and that is to keep you alive. It was never actually designed to make you feel peaceful or fulfilled. And honestly, once you grasp this, everything about how your mind works starts making a whole lot more sense.
To get us out of this default survival mode, this explainer is going to cover 6 key areas: your brain's ancient programming, the power of neuroplasticity, rewiring your daily thoughts, calming your nervous system, reclaiming the present moment, and finally, the secret to lasting change.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, your brain's ancient programming, and the evolutionary mismatch of modern life.
So, thousands of years ago, we survived by constantly scanning our environment for danger. The folks who assumed everything was perfectly safe, well, they didn't survive very long, right? Today, your brain is running that exact same ancient software, but the tigers are gone. Now, your brain treats an ignored text message, social media comparison, or some urgent email from your boss with the exact same life-or-death alarm system as a literal predator attack. It's the exact same brain, just operating in a completely mismatched world.
Moving right along to Section 2, the power of neuroplasticity, transitioning from victim to architect. Now here is the incredibly good news. You are not stuck in this default survival mode. You do not have to be a victim to your ancient programming, and that's all thanks to neuroplasticity, which is the brain's amazing ability to constantly rewire itself based on what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. Your brain is not some fixed final product. This means your daily habits aren't just little routines to get you through the week. They are literal, physical instructions teaching your brain which neural pathways to build up and strengthen.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this famous neuroscience axiom: neurons that fire together, wire together. If you continually practice stress, comparison, and overthinking, well, your brain physically gets better at doing those things. But if you practice calm, focus, and presence, you strengthen those completely different circuits instead. You don't need to magically become a completely different person. You just need to train the brain differently.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, rewiring your daily thoughts. Let's take control of those automatic loops.
So how do we actively shift the data we're feeding our brains every single day? Well, first off, when you feel one of those negative mental loops starting up, interrupt it physically. Don't just try to think your way out of it. Literally focus on the feeling of your feet flat on the floor to ground yourself. Then, you've got to balance the scales. When a positive moment happens, don't just rush past it to your next task. Force yourself to stay with it for just a few seconds longer to deeply absorb that joy. And pay really close attention to what you repeat to yourself. Correct your internal self-talk so it's accurate. It doesn't have to be toxic positivity, you know? Just keep it rooted in reality.
To really grasp why holding on to those positive moments is so vital, consider the ratio of 10 to 1. You could receive 10 genuine compliments and just 1 criticism in a single day, and your survival brain? It's going to obsessively fixate on that 1 criticism. It literally prioritizes problems to keep you safe. Unless you force it to pause and actively absorb the good stuff for a few extra seconds, those positive experiences just aren't going to stick in your mental architecture.
And this leads us right into how we actually speak to ourselves. Notice the shift here from old survival self-talk to new rewired self-talk. Instead of using catastrophic, absolute phrases like, "I always fail," shift the narrative to, "I am learning." Instead of the dead end, "nothing is working," you say, "this is difficult right now." Small language shifts like these, they create massive emotional changes over time. Why? Because repeated thoughts become your beliefs, and beliefs eventually harden right into your identity.
All right, Section 4, calming your nervous system. It's time to signal safety to your body.
Look, you simply cannot think your way out of anxiety if your physical body feels like it's literally being chased by a predator. We've got to signal safety to the nervous system. Start by reducing the mental noise. Cut out those endless morning notifications and actually embrace a little silence. Then, move your body daily to release trapped stress. Now, this doesn't mean you have to do some intense, crazy workout every day. Just embrace simple, gentle movement. And crucially, we have to stop treating rest like guilt. Resting isn't laziness, guys. It is absolutely essential biological recovery.
Because here's the thing, motion changes emotion. Your brain and your body are completely 100% connected. When you sit totally still all day at a desk, that stress literally stays trapped inside of you. But even just a simple walk, some light stretching, or even getting up to grab a glass of water signals safety to your nervous system. You'll find that sometimes anxious thoughts can completely disappear the second your body just starts moving.
Next up is Section 5, Reclaiming the Present Moment. Let's escape the imagined future.
So much of our mental suffering hangs out in two places: regretting the past or fearing the future. To train the brain to stay right here, we have to actively reclaim the present, bring back play, rediscover hobbies just for the pure, simple joy of feeling alive, not to optimize them for productivity or turn them into your next side hustle. Protect your attention from algorithms that are specifically designed to drain your focus. And simply practice being present. Actually feel the warm water on your hands when you wash them, or really taste your food instead of just staring at a screen while you eat.
The contrast here is super revealing. The past and future are just filled with regret, what-ifs, and terrifying, completely imagined worst-case scenarios. But the present moment? It's highly tangible, it's usually far less painful than whatever our minds are conjuring up, and most importantly, it's actually real. By actively practicing presence, you slowly teach your brain that life is happening right now in the physical world, not inside those chaotic scenarios your mind is making up.
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 6, The Secret to Lasting Change, Why Intensity Fails and Consistency Wins.
This right here is where most people completely miss the mark when they're trying to transform their lives. The undeniable truth is this: the brain does not change through intensity, it changes through repetition. You can't rewire your brain with one perfect, extreme morning routine, or by binge-watching motivational videos on a Sunday afternoon. Real change is quiet, it's subtle, and it is built exclusively through tiny, compounded actions.
So here's your formula for rewiring. It's simple, but man, it requires discipline. First, take one incredibly small action, like committing to just 10 minutes with no phone or pausing to appreciate one good moment. Second, commit to daily consistency. Repeat it every single day. Eventually, the third step just happens automatically, a rewired brain. You'll suddenly notice you're bouncing back from stress faster and feeling calm without even forcing it. The change simply compounds over time. So I want to leave you with this final provocative question. Which single habit are you going to start today? Remember, your brain is not a final product. It is simply the version that your past habits have built up until this point. Choose just one of these practices, because your daily repetitions are going to decide exactly who you become tomorrow. Thank you so much for exploring this explainer with me, and keep rewiring.